Hello.
Oh my God, we're back.
Woo!
Hello, everyone. Here once again for another episode of A Conversation with Kely. Allie, let's get right into it. What are we doing today?
We are covering this most insane double eviction, one of them we've ever seen. And honestly, this is what we want in a double eviction.
Yeah, can I just say right now, what the fuck just happened in this episode?
I'm still not over it.
One of the most baffling, one of the most unexpected, one of the most cracked double evictions I think we've seen in years. I feel like when people talk about joking, in a joking manner, like outcomes for an HOH, we never actually expected to happen. And then it actually did. This is just,
what?
Oh my God, it's so wild. There's so much to discuss.
Also, I tuned in obviously late after work, but I watched most of it. The only thing I didn't get, because obviously kind of skipped ahead, the only thing I didn't get to finish was the jury segment and the first eviction.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about everything that happened in the first eviction, and you'll talk about everything that happened in the second. But my God, I mean, what did you think of this episode overall before we get into everything?
I'm just floored. I like pretty game-wise, I like everybody in the game. And obviously Ty is not the nicest person, but I don't as a competitor, he's great. Especially the last few rounds. But so I'm obviously I love everybody.
After this, especially, my God.
I'm just floored by this double eviction.
Yeah, this to me was easily one of the most insane double evictions we've seen in a long time. Really, it just grinds my gears that we're not able to see the fallout of everything. Because oh my God, I feel like the feeds would have been incredible for this. Just seeing how everything played out.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here.
This is such a top tier season. It would just be better if it had feeds and not the dailies.
Yeah, definitely. But we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it because, my God, there's so much to talk about here. We're going to start off with the first eviction, which I will say, first eviction, it's pretty sad. Everything that happens in the first half of this episode was very heartbreaking to watch. I was really worried with how the rest of the season was going to play out, but we'll get right into the first half. There are some highlights of the first half for sure, but it's the second half that really gets exciting. But let's talk about the first eviction here. So after the veto ceremony, Kuzi is very annoyed with Renee and thinks it's a very stupid move and that she should just say that she's scared of her. So she's still really just pissed off at Renee for what she did. Anika is happy to be beside a more threatening player, which is, again, it's all right, we get it. We know Kuzi's threatening, move on. Ty goes to Kuzi and she says that this point is set up to where even if she goes, everyone will be against Renee. I thought this was setting us up for a Renee eviction. I thought this is what was going to happen here, that we would see
I definitely could have seen that as a predictable one, but I also had a sense that she would survive somehow.
Well, I mean, spoilers, you were right. So, I thought this was setting us up for Renee eviction here with what she was saying. The girly pops are very annoyed with what
also
Kuzi said.
Yeah, I was the main predictable double would be Ty or Renee, but
yeah. We'll talk about that when we get to the second half, because my God. Yeah, Tiger, basically the girly pops are very annoyed with what Kuzi said to Renee and find it classless, which, I mean, I don't think what she said was classless. She was just annoyed.
No, she was just very she was just in her feelings at the moment, and she was just very upset.
Yeah, I don't think she said anything out of line at all. So Kuzi, though, she's in full campaign mode here. She's hoping to get 3 votes, knowing that she has ties, and hoping she can get Claudia's. And she gives this, I think, really good pitch to Claudia, where she basically tells her that she's felt like a third wheel in her alliance, in her trio, and keeping Anika isn't safe for her because her and Daniel are a tight duo, and they aren't coming for Ty anymore. Hence, they're going to come for the girly pops, and she, on the other hand, is going to have her back. I thought this was a very effective pitch. It's basically what Ty recommended for her to say, and I feel like it honestly almost worked out for her. I thought this was a really solid pitch to Claudia.
Oh, I thought it was too, actually.
So then she gives a pitch to Shania and says that she may think she has a good relation with Anika, but she knows hers with Anika is better, and she's now coming after her. And she assures her that there are other targets in mind, and she will not be her move until she has to be. This is exactly what I was saying like last night. It's like Anika now throwing Kuzi under the bus. Like everyone should be wary to work with Anika because she can just as easily throw you under the bus if she needs to. And I thought this again was like really, really good pitching from Kuzi overall. Like it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then she goes over to Renee, and we get honestly a pretty emotional moment because she makes it clear she is mad, but didn't feel respected by what she did. Kuzi assures her that she never meant to hurt her feelings and that she may have gotten too personal and apologizes. And she says she's also human and hurts in the same way. And though
I will say this duo is pretty raw because they could have been like really good.
I know the potential. But she says even though she doesn't show her reaction, she feels it. And she says she wants to make sure she understands her and she'll be going after her own team first. Kuzi says that she's looking at her own camp first and that they're feeling safe and it hurts her more than an enemy. And she says she knows she has a deciding vote and doesn't know if she feels good with them, but she's safe with her for a little while. I think this was definitely a needed conversation. You know, and here's the thing, like, people can come for Kuzi all they want. Kuzi even said what she said was out of line. So it's like, even she thought that, like, she, you know, felt a little bad. Like, she felt a little bad over what she said. I don't think what she said.
I saw, like, I think it was from the dailies that there was, like, the conversation with Shania, or sorry, Renee and Claude, with Renee and Kuzi, that, like, really, it made a lot of people very emotional.
Yeah, it was, basically she, like, you know, told her how much, you know, how proud of her she is and, like, you know, how she's always, like, seen the value in her. It was a really good conversation, I thought, overall. But Claudia and Shania then talk a bit, realizing that they might have to debrief. And Shania is really shocked because it seems like Claudia actually is starting to become a bit more convinced. And Shania, meanwhile, is much more weary about it. She feels that her pitch wasn't as sincere. And her target is Renee next week. And Claudia says that that doesn't really mean much to her at all because if it's Renee, it's not her. And she feels it'll be her and Renee on the block and that Shania has better relationships with them. Claudia thinks that if Kuzi leaves, she actually has a better chance of going on the block. So Renee goes over to them and talks with the fact that Kuzi gave them both a lot to think about. And Shania says that she is shook that people are considering her keeping her, but she knows it's better for her game if she goes. What did you think of this overall? Because to me, it seemed like Claudia was generally thinking about maybe keeping Kuzi here.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely crazy because like Shania and Claudia have been like ride or dies. So it was just interesting to see them like think differently. We're like, because obviously like Ty wanted a Final Four with Claudia, Renee, and Kuzi. And then Shania obviously, was thinking, she obviously had the girly pops, but she was also thinking of the one with her, Claudia, Anika, and Daniel. So it was definitely just very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, I feel like for me, and I don't know if you agree with this, but for me, in the same way that, like, Ty has had this tunnel vision for Renee all season, I feel like that was Shania with Kuzi this week. She was so fixated.
Yeah.
Kuzi's the problem. We got to get rid of Kuzi. She didn't consider like any other options where maybe keeping Kuzi is the right idea. No, we have to work with Daniel and Anika, even though that really never made any sense because they're always going to take each other. So I just feel like Shania really just kind of lost the plot this week. And I think we really saw.
Yeah, like Shania was doing so well, like socially. And in this round, she was just like thinking very differently.
I think she
like really obviously, she was considering options, which is good, but like she just was like doing it in a weird way.
Yeah, and the fact that she especially like didn't even seem to have any sort of thought for Kuzi's pitch, I thought was really bad.
Yeah. Also, I have something to say after the evictions, both of them, after we talk about both.
Oh, exciting. Okay. So Daniel goes to Kuzi.
Well, kind of exciting, but kind of not.
Okay. So
it was just something that came to me.
Okay. So Daniel goes to Kuzi, and we get what is easily, I think, the most interesting part, at least of this half, because the most interesting stuff is in the second half of the episode. But this was interesting to watch. Basically, we get this moment where he asks why she is feeling hurt from him. And she says what he did was more selfish than not, and that he failed her as a friend and has no real backbone. And he says that just because he's an emotional person doesn't mean he doesn't have one, because he's always made tough decisions when she needs to. And she calls him spineless. And he tells her that her character is spineless because when she doesn't get her way, she is hurt and putting things on people because she feels she runs the show. And she calls him a follower and that he doesn't have a backbone. This was a pretty intense conversation, I think.
That was.
And I mean, honestly, I do feel like she's correct here. Like, Daniel is somebody who doesn't seem to stick to his word very much. He seems to waver very often. He is saying that, like, he's like her ally, but he hasn't really treated her like an ally this week. So Kuzi has, I think, every right to be annoyed with Daniel just because of, like, the way he's treated her. I would also feel very, like, disrespected in her position.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a very interesting pitch, but I mean, it's pretty clear Daniel's not.
Like, I love Daniel, but like him and Anika were just treating Kuzi not very nice this round.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they were so adamant about, oh, we got to make sure Kuzi goes. Kuzi's, ruining everything for us. Where it's like, I don't think Kuzi really was doing anything to hurt them. And if they really were worried about, like, because it seemed like to me the thing that they were most upset about is that she was taking credit for things that they did, where it's like, if you're really worried about that, you cut her at 3. Like, that's literally what you do. You cut her at 3 because you don't want her in the final 2. It's not a concern now, especially when it's like the 3 of you want to stick together. I just feel like, I don't know how we went from the Crown being in such a good position to them being in, like, probably the worst position possible. Like, I saw them to the Hive in Big Brother 20, and I've said, no, I don't think they made as bad moves, but with the
way honestly, like,
have been handling
like the main comp piece this season are like the girly pops and Ty and Kuzi.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about that. I was saying, like, but I will agree with you. But I was saying that, like, people have been comparing them to, like, the Hive on Big Brother 20, and I was like, I don't know, because I feel like the Hive, like, actively put themselves in the worst position every single week.
As much as they were great, but like they did.
Oh yeah, they were all really fun to watch. That whole cast was great. But with the way that Daniel and Anika played this week, and then thinking about some of the other decisions, honestly, I think it's a pretty apt comparison, because the Crown should have been in power, like, these last couple weeks. They were in a really solid position, but I think them getting rid of Jonathan instead of Hope, them choosing to get rid of Santina too early, and now I think the nail in the coffin, Daniel and Anika, turning on Kuzi, I think really just squandered any chance of this ever being a thing. So I think the Crown will go down as probably one of the most failed alliances in Big Brother history. And it really is their fault that happened. And it sucks. Like, they were in such a good position. I was so here for that 5, but they pretty much, like, did everything they can to sabotage it. So
sadly.
Speaking of the Crown, let's go to the jury house, because it's mostly them right now. So
I saw like a majority of it, but obviously it cut off.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about here, I will say. This was a very brief little thing in the jury house. Basically, Dan is hoping to not see Shania, and Jonathan doesn't want to see anyone from the Crown, which, well, you don't have to see her yet, Dan, but, well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that.
When Hope arrives, Jonathan is happy to see his little brother in the game, but sad because he wanted him to go far. So he talks about what happened, and really the main thing here is that Santina feels that he didn't try hard enough to save her, and she isn't sad to see him here. And there's this great moment where she's like, I'm not going to cook him any breakfast, and I think Jonathan's like, I'll still, like, cook him a few eggs. I thought that was a really funny moment.
Oh, that was. Well, wait, did I see that part? I don't know. I don't think so.
But he tells her that
it was like cutting and skipping ahead during Hope's part.
Yeah, so they kind of iron things out here. He tells her that he would have picked her, but knows that there would have been a big divide. I don't know why they showed this, to be honest with you. This felt like they just needed a jury segment, but, like, we already have a double eviction. There's no real reason to show this. I felt like Like, especially with a double eviction, there's so much you can show. And I will say, I felt like we got a lot out of this double eviction, more than usual.
Like, I really do love jury segments, but this one was just kind of like, it didn't really
There was
say
nothing
much.
to it. They didn't even talk about like who they think is coming next. Like,
no,
who they think is
it was literally
be
just like, I don't want to see this person arrive, blah, blah, blah.
It was a lot of nothing. So not really a lot to talk about here. Let's get to the first eviction, though. Anika makes this pitch saying that it breaks her heart to sit next to a dear friend, but she is here to stay, and she's sorry that she hasn't been able to win comps, but she's going to try hard, and she's tried to play a social game and a strong game and to vote her way so she can go far, and says how much she really loves Kuzi. Very basic pitch overall. Kuzi comes out, I think, with a really great pitch saying that she played a game that she's proud of, but every decision she made she thought was good has landed her in this position today. And I like that she acknowledges, and I know you didn't see this pitch, but I like that she acknowledges that, like, yeah, the decisions I made were not the greatest decisions. And basically she thought at this stage of the game,
she's such a self-aware queen.
She's very self-aware, especially in her interview. She's very self-aware. She says that she would be viewed as a strong player in a positive way, but maybe not. And she tells them all to play hard and remember their enemies and friends may not be who they think they are, which, I mean, I feel like that's how you sum up the second half of the episode for sure. Words to live by. But and I think some people took this a little too literally, though, with so she calls Renee a hurricane and to give everyone hell, and once again apologizes for her comment. I thought this was great. This is the kind of send out that you want to know. She knows that she's leaving at this point, which is unfortunate, but I like that she acknowledged her mistakes of why she ended up in this position, but also quickly tried to, like, just give Renee, like, this nice little send-off just to be like,
I will say, like, if she goes to jury, obviously, like, no spoilers, but if she goes to jury, I feel like the jury will be pretty, like, shocked and, like, that it was Renee who got her out, which, because, like, obviously
I'm very excited for their reaction when they realized
because she's the biggest jury threat.
Yeah. Well, literally, like I said, I've never seen a jury that is this, like, that is on the exact same accord, like, all around universally. And so when they realize that Kuzi's gone, it opens up the jury so much more. Like, who are they rooting for at that point? I'm excited.
They'll probably be like, holy crap, it was Renee.
Yeah. So,
I mean, she did a smart move because, I mean, Kuzi would have beat everybody.
Yeah.
But it also would have been iconic for, like, a Renee Kuzi duo too.
Yeah. So while there was a chance she could have stayed.
Okay, I will say they probably could have been a duo if the girly pops weren't a thing, like, since the beginning.
Yeah, probably. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, while there was a chance she could have been saved, it ultimately doesn't work out as Kuzi is evicted by a 3-1 vote, becomes the next member of the jury. Obviously, Ty is the only person that saved her here. We get a
that would have been so iconic if, like, Claudia saved her and it was a tie.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I feel like she might have, especially based on what we saw.
And, like, Renee, I mean, if that 4 ended up being a thing, like, Renee would probably keep her.
Yeah, I wonder if Renee would have saved her in the tie. I guess we'll never know, but
who knows?
Like there is a possibility that she could have, but also, like, did she want Anika gone? I'm not really sure. You know, I guess we'll never know until, like, postseason. But we get this really quick interview with Arissa, but I thought it was a good one. She hypes up her game, which I loved. I loved how much Arissa was, like, hyping up her comp prowess and all the stuff she did in the game. And basically, Kuzi says that she told herself she feared no one in this house, and she came along and hoped everyone saw the good in her rather than the bad. And she says she didn't think it worked out because her campaign showed even more of her strengths and that they were right to get her out. And I agree with her. I think that Kuzi was she played such a phenomenal game that anything that she articulated just kind of showed, oh my God, she's this huge threat and we got to get her out sooner than later. I don't really think there was much that she could have done. But again, I like that she acknowledges that. Like, she acknowledges, like, there really isn't much that I could have done here. It's really good, like, self-awareness, but it sucks because, like, hearing the self-awareness that she has, hearing the correct reads that she has, the potential that could have been at a final speech in the finale.
She would have been amazing.
She literally would have been, I think, one of the best winners. and basically says that, she was coming out for everyone, and she's hoping that Ty ends up taking the win.
Also, I will say, if they ever do like a BBUS versus BB season, Taylor and Kuzi are going to dominate.
Oh yeah, definitely. So before we get into everything that happened in the second half of this episode, let's talk about Kuzi for a little bit, because I think it's pretty safe to say, no matter what happens, who wins this season, Kuzi was the main character of this season.
Oh, yeah.
When people think of Big Brother Canada 11, Kuzi's going to be the first name that comes to mind. She provided so much entertainment. She was so strategic with every decision that she made. I said it before, the most level-headed of the entire cast.
She was definitely a triple threat.
Yeah. And while I don't think she made the right calls towards the end, she at least acknowledged it. And I do think had she stayed, she could have done enough to, correct it. And I think put herself in a much better position.
Sadly kind of like how Summer's game was so good in the beginning last time, and then it crumbled.
Kuzi was much better than Summer.
But game-wise, Kuzi's definitely stronger, but Summer was very good.
Summer kind of checked out like towards the end.
That's true.
Kuzi
never stopped fighting.
Yeah, Kuzi never stopped fighting. I don't want to compare the two of them at all because they're very different players. But the thing with Kuzi is she was so dominant pretty much from, I think, the second she won HOH, and really just never stopped from there. I think it really just came down to the fact that this was a cast that was very aware of what she was doing. The wrong person won HOH, and her allies didn't even want to save her for some reason. And she ended up in a position where I think she's easily one of the most robbed Big Brother contestants.
For sure. And I remember I picked her first on our draft, and because I was like, okay, she's winning. I had a feeling, and she would have if she made it farther.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't think there's any disputing the fact that as long as Kuzi was in those final two chairs, she would have won pretty much unanimously. So it really does suck that she's gone. She was easily the front runner. She was easily the best player of the season. But the game is a lot more. I feel
like the only people she probably it wouldn't be like completely unanimous is if she's against a girly pop, because they probably vote for them.
Yeah.
But other than that, she probably wins
unanimously. Yeah, I agree. But the one pro is that
I love her so much.
Open now. There's a lot of possibilities, and to be honest, especially with how the second half went, I have no idea what's going to happen at the end of this season. Let's just get to it because what we follow up with is, I think, easily one of the most bizarre and just off the rails evictions I have seen in years. I truly can't believe what ends up happening.
We're just here for the chaos. It's so freaking good.
Oh yeah. So yeah, let's get right into the second eviction, Allie.
All right. So the first part I obviously didn't get to see because of the skipping ahead. So I didn't get to see till most of the comp was over. But anyway, I'll go back to it, of course. I'll watch it later. But the next HOH comp is underway, which apparently started in the middle of the night as everyone woke up to various screaming and were trying to desperately figure out who Screama was. And they then went downstairs and saw a crime scene where Adam from BB 7 has been murdered.
Yeah, I loved this comp a lot.
I can't wait to actually see it.
I always like it when they wake them up in the middle of the night, but I thought this was taking it to a whole other level. This is how utilize the murder mystery theme. They really just went all in with it here. This is what I've wanted to see all season.
I'm excited to go back and watch that part so I can see it. It sounds super cool.
Yeah.
They also see Moose and Betty from last season, icons.
Yes.
They are told they have to figure out who the murderer is between Betty, Moose, and Sarah Hanlon. Oh, I love Sarah.
I know you didn't get to see it, but I love how excited Daniel was to see Betty. It's it felt like it just reminds you Daniel is a super fan, and it was just that would have been my reaction if Betty was there too.
Oh, I love that so much. And also Sarah was my favorite in BB 3. So I'm I love her, and that's so cool that they brought her back.
Yeah.
But BB 3, I like pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They now have to answer true or false questions about the crime scene, and whoever has the most points after 7 questions will be the new HOH.
Yeah.
Well, it comes down
I was very unsure who it was going to be. There were a couple options here, but
with memory
not expecting what happened.
With the memory comp, I think I was it's probably going to be Renee, Claudia, or Daniel.
Well, it can't be Renee. She just won HOH.
Oh wait, no, sorry, Renee counts. I mean Claudia or Daniel.
Yeah, I honestly thought we were in for a Daniel HOH. That's what I thought was going to happen here. And
that
he honestly,
very interesting.
He did come pretty close.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. He probably would have targeted Ty, maybe.
Probably.
Or maybe the girls. I don't know.
I think he would have come for the girly pops because he said he was going to do that.
Yeah. When it comes down to a few of the house guests, ultimately Claudia once again pulls out the win and becomes the new HOH.
Which at this point,
didn't you say? Oh, and also Anika apparently was doing really well too.
Yeah, it was Claudia, Anika, and Daniel. Anika nearly won this comp, so like this could have been
that'd be insane.
Win. But at this point, I mean, I literally said to Aly, I'm like, Claudia could win this game. Claudia's won.
Oh, she can.
At this point, she's in a really good position. She has the girly pops. You know, no one's really coming for her specifically. She always has other people in front of her. And then we get to what she actually does.
Oh gosh. All right. She then chooses to nominate Anika and Daniel, meaning Shania is now the only person to not be nominated so far. Which at this point we're like, okay, this is smart. But
yeah, I think initially.
But I mean, she also should have put up like Ty, maybe Ty and Anika or Ty and Daniel, because obviously if Ty wins veto.
Yeah, I
mean,
initially
then she could renom the other.
Yeah, initially I was okay with this because it's like, okay, if she's recognizing that Ty needs to be renommed if you need to get him out because he keeps winning vetoes, like I understood why you're putting up Anika and Daniel. Obviously, Ty is going to be renommed and Ty's probably gonna go. But let's get to what happens.
Right.
It might not be that straightforward.
We then go right into the veto. They each have their own shelves filled with pots at the end of their lane. Hiding inside 5 of them are puzzle pieces. They will have to smash each pod until they find all 5 puzzle pieces. Whoever completed it the fastest will win.
Yeah, and this was a very quick comp because of
it was, and I think it was like close between like Ty and Renee, and also it was funny because Anika was like walking.
Oh, Anika wasn't even trying. It seemed
she was probably like, "I'm not winning this."
Daniel was very quick too. Like I think he could have potentially won it.
Yeah, Anika's the only one who hasn't won a comp. Anika needs a comp win.
Yeah.
While everyone puts up a good fight, Ty once again wins his fifth veto in a row, which is like insane. Holy shit! Like he's such a comp.
5 vetoes in a row. I don't know at this point. Like
if it's like a physical comp, he's winning.
This wasn't even a physical comp though. This was like you're smashing pots and you're
true
puzzle pieces. So
like,
I mean,
I don't know why, but I kind of thought Renee was gonna win it.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought maybe we were gonna get like a Perez type run from Renee. But Ty might win out at this point. Honestly, he might.
We'll see.
Winning. So
I feel like I don't know. He has a like comp wise and stuff. Like he definitely has a chance to win, but I feel like the main person he could beat is like Anika. Everyone else would be hard.
What really surprised me
because of a social game.
Yeah, what really surprised me, not just the results of what happens, but we actually get to see a little bit of strategizing before the veto is used, which I liked a lot. Not what I expected to hear.
I mean, he didn't even talk to the noms. He talked to like Claudia.
Well, he didn't need to talk to the noms. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. He talks to Claudia a bit, and she asks if he will be using it, and he asks why she's holding on to Shania so tight. And like, what the heck?
Yeah, immediately I was like, oh.
And that she's the problem and has been hiding behind her the whole time. And he says he wants the 2 of them and Renee in the final 3, which is like, I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah, super random, but yeah.
Yeah. Because like, especially with like Ty gunning for Renee so much, he wants her in the final 3 now.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand, probably because she's like a fighter.
Probably.
She doesn't understand why she has to be the one to do it, but knows she can't do much to persuade him.
Here's the thing when it comes to this. Obviously, he's going to use the veto. It's understandable. He's going to use the veto. There's not really much that you can do. I thought what she was going to do at this point was she's like, okay, I'm not going to put up Shania because that would be really bad. I'd be losing my closest ally.
Because since they're ride or dies, like.
Yeah. So I thought she'd put up Renee and then make it so Daniel would end up going. I thought at this point was going to be Renee and Anika. Because apparently Claudia said that Anika was her target, which is interesting. She thought Anika was a bigger threat than Daniel, which I thought also was a bad read because I think Daniel was a significantly bigger threat than Anika. So,
because he's won one comp, she hasn't, and then like he's just very strategic.
Yeah, I don't know if you overheard, but like she said, like, well, why can't we just let Anika go? So it seemed like Anika was the target.
So maybe she would have left if the noms stay the same.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Well,
who
knows with Ty? Because pretty much.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like someone like a Renee would have probably voted out Anika because she was kind of close with Daniel.
Yeah. But I was shocked that this happened. I was even more shocked at what happens next.
Same. Shania asks Claudia if he's using it, and she pulls both of the girly pops aside, and she says she has a strong feeling he will. Shania tells Renee she deserves to be here more than her, and both Claudia and Renee were like, "What the hell? Don't say that."
Yeah, I was like,
I love Shania, but she should have fought harder.
Yeah, this would have been so much more intense if like the two of them were just like fighting it out, and we didn't see that. Right? It was like, oh, I'll go on the block. I know it's really sad, but it's like, it is literally Final 6. Like, what are you doing?
Like, what the heck? They're going into Final 5.
And this is also your first time on the block. Like, I don't know why Shania didn't think, maybe I could go. I've never been on the block before.
Yeah. And this was the first time Daniel's on the block too, which is, impressive that both of them stayed off the block till 6.
Yeah, I will give them that.
And then Claudia hates that she has to choose between them, and she says she never wanted any of them to be on her hands. They all break down knowing one of them is likely going up.
Right.
Which is true, because they were like a strong trio.
Yeah, I mean, the girly pops definitely had, I think, a really strong trio of sorts. I do think that their credibility as a trio is lessened by what happens tonight.
Oh, God, right? Ugh. At the veto ceremony, he ends up using it on Anika, who apparently was the target. Yeah, but also, I will say, it's just funny because he did save her with a veto week 1, too, which is funny. And also, Daniel saved him before, so it's
that's why I thought for sure like Daniel was going to come off because he wanted to repay him the favor, but I guess Ty's like just all about the chaos.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like he's always just going to save Anika with veto. And then Claudia then chooses Shania as the renom with like, what?
Yeah. Let's talk about this. So, okay, couple things.
It is her first time on the block, and it is a good move, but like for her,
it's a good move.
I just thought she was going to put up Renee.
It's definitely a good move for Ty. Like Ty got done what he wanted to get done.
This was literally Ty's move.
But the thing is, like, he shouldn't have been able to get away with it. Like, I feel like a more savvy player would have recognized, like, okay, I'm not going to let him control my HOH. I'm going to put up Renee, and I'm going to make sure that Daniel goes. Like, this is
definitely like Ty's best. This is probably Ty's best move of the game.
Oh, easily. Like, I think if Ty's at the end, all he has to say is this, and he wins. Like that, and him winning out. Like Ty is becoming a legitimate threat at this point to where I could see him winning this game. I never thought I'd be saying that, but after this, like, I don't know, maybe he could. But even
obviously her and Claudia and Renee were like very upset and crying.
But the thing is, like, she didn't have to do this. I can't reiterate it enough. Like, this was
kind of like, I love Claudia, but she was kind of weak here.
No, this was a dumb move. There's really no way to say it. This was a really dumb move. I think her best bet would have been just put up Renee. You know that Ty wants a you and Renee final 3. So what you do is you use that as a reason to basically, you kind of use that as a reason to get him to turn on Daniel. And I think you kind of use that almost as leverage against him and say, hey, listen, you want this final 3 to happen. You got to get out Daniel. Daniel's always going to take Anika. I thought that would have been much smarter for her to do. But
she honestly should have just put like maybe like Ty and Daniel and then just renom Anika.
Well, she could that too. Like, obviously, that's what she should have done. I think initially she it made sense at first, but really thinking about it, I mean, that would have definitely given her a lot more options. But I don't think she was thinking that Ty was going to win the veto here, which she should have thought that because he's won the veto 4 times. At that point, he's won the veto 4 times. He's probably going to do it again. So. Yeah, I mean, I just can't reiterate enough. This did not have to happen.
Is he trying to like Janelle this shit, but then get cut at 3rd? I mean, I will say, I mean, if Claudia, Renee, and Ty are the final 3, and Ty doesn't, if one of the girls win final HOH, I mean, he's done.
Yeah, pretty much. I would hope. I would hope at this point.
I mean, Renee would cut him. I feel like Claudia would. Claudia would probably cut him.
Listen, all I will say is that if she is not like wanting his head on a silver platter after this, I don't know what will make her want him out. Like, because like he's not gonna do what's in her best interest. He literally just made her put up her closest ally. Like
Claudia and Renee definitely need each other more than ever right now.
He should not have any trust in him whatsoever after this. But something tells me, because of what she did, and because honestly I have very little faith in Claudia as a player right now, I feel like she's still gonna try to trust him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if Ty doesn't win a comp, I feel like he's definitely done at 5, but we'll see.
I don't know.
Unless that trio ends up being a thing. Unless that trio ends up being a thing and one of Anika or Daniel leave.
She shouldn't want it to be a thing. That's the thing. Like, because he could use that and then be like, well, let's target Renee. Like, he could literally do that.
It's time for the second live eviction. Daniel says he came here with a mission. He's nowhere near competing, and he is humbly asking for their vote, and he says he loves them all and wants to be friends with all of them after. Just a very simple, nice pitch. Shania says that they know how much she has poured her heart and soul into everything, and she hopes they respect that, but understands if they choose not to keep her because they're doing what's best for their games, which is also another symbol.
She's defeated here. You can tell. She's like, I have no chance.
Yeah, like she's like, the only one saving me is definitely Renee.
And that's the other thing. Like, I don't feel like Shania did anything to save herself. She basically told Claudia to put her on the block.
She could have just won the veto.
Yeah, she basically said that Renee is like a stronger player than her, and
I kind of feel like if she won veto, she would have saved like one of the two, and for Ty to go up.
Yeah.
That's what I think she would have done.
Yeah, she would have wanted Ty out, which everybody should want Ty out after this. Everybody should.
Except maybe like Anika, because he saved her.
Yeah, but knowing Anika, like, you know, her track record when it comes to trust is not the greatest.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's still gonna want Ty out.
Shania says that they know how much she has. Oh wait, sorry, I read that. As in what's usually one of the more shocking double evictions, Shania is voted out by a vote of 2-1, with Renee obviously saving her, becomes the next member of the jury. This is what I meant to say. Both girls from Victoria, BC have left this round.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Kuzi and Shania.
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
They're just like, fuck BC, am I right?
And we also both lost draft picks, so...
I know.
I literally only have Daniel left.
Yeah, I have
everybody else.
Yep. I just think that's kind of funny.
Yeah. I have no words. I have literally no words that she's gone. I don't
either. I'm like, well, what the heck?
I can't again restate enough. This did not have to happen.
I'm pretty sure Renee is gonna like fight super hard for this next HOH.
Yeah.
Because she kind of needs it to save Claudia.
I think definitely between her and Claudia, Renee is definitely a lot more like her own person. And I think we definitely saw that between the two HOH reigns. I think
Renee would probably do the same and just put up Ty and Anika with Daniel Renam.
Well, she's not going to listen to Ty and be like, hey, maybe put up Claudia. She's problem.
No.
Not going to do that.
Oh, no. Renee is like all about girl power, except, well, obviously she got up Kuzi, but that was a big threat.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I don't see Renee doing that.
No, she wouldn't put up Claudia.
Yeah. With that said, though, I have no idea what's going to happen in this Final Five. Like, this is such
Me
an
neither.
unexpected Final Five. I never would have expected, especially with Claudia winning HOH, I would not have expected for only 2 of the girly pops to remain. But this is where we're at.
I mean, it's sad because I thought they were going to like dominate it, but I mean, it is a good move.
I don't know. I think it's really funny, personally.
Oh yeah, it's a great move and great TV.
It's a great move, and honestly, like, before this happened, I was like, the girly pops could maybe be considered like one of the better alliances. I mean, don't think they are.
They still made Final 6 together.
They did, but with what Claudia just did, I don't think we can call them one of the best alliances anymore because they didn't really look out for each other as much. I feel like Shania could have fought more. I feel like it should have been like Claudia should have put up Renee despite Ty. There were so many things that they could have done to ensure that the 3 of them did not go.
I will say it'd be Kuzi's reaction to Shania leaving on Claudia's HOH will probably be really funny.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited to see how that
goes.
And
then but everyone's gonna be shocked to see Kuzi. And I feel like
I'm most excited for that jury segment, much more than I was for the one we got tonight.
Yeah. I feel like the only ones that's gonna be really like sad to see Shania is Dan.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Really just want to see like a Renee and Ty final 2 at this point. I feel like it would be the most exciting. I have no idea what would happen in that scenario. You have the 2 people that the jury has been very low on, and if it's them in the final 2, I have no idea what would even happen at that point. So we will have to see. Yeah, so this was a very shocking double eviction. Definitely not the kind that you expect to get. But again, like, when we talk about like double evictions, I feel like this is what we hope for. I just can't believe that it actually happened.
Oh no, I thought it was like just like the most intense thing to watch. It was like the most insane double I've ever seen. Well, in a while.
Yeah, definitely. Because even like the one, like we had a really good one on Big Brother 24 last year. I wouldn't say that was a shocking double eviction. It was pretty obvious if Michael didn't win that veto, he was going home. It was just crazy the way that all played out. This I never would have expected. Like straight up, this is not something I would have seen coming. People were saying Shania had the best chance to win. And then now here she is gone. So crazy.
It's just like, and also her interview is really short, but she said in her interview she says she thinks Ty just. Oh no! In her interview, she says she thinks Ty just pulled off one of the most poetically vengeful moves, and she is truly heartbroken for Claudia and never expected this to happen. Which is true. He did. That was very vengeful.
Oh yeah. I am not heartbroken for Claudia because I don't think she had to do this. So. Yeah.
Like I feel like at that point she's like, yeah, she's probably gonna put up Renee, but
yeah, definitely. We will see what ends up happening with the rest of this. I really don't know what is gonna happen in this
do you think the next HOH is probably like a memory one?
I don't know, probably. We're getting down to like the last few.
So I think it'd probably be like a Renee or Daniel winning.
And also last week is the last full week because they always do 4 and 3 like together. So we literally only have 2 weeks of the season left.
I know.
But yeah, it's gonna be
interesting. Also, if anybody wants to like be a part of like the next couple of weeks with us, just hit us up and we're like more than welcome to make you a guest.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, that's really it for what I think was a much more shocking episode than we expected.
Like I literally thought it was just going to be kind of predictable with like a Ty or Renee, but like obviously I had a feeling Renee was going to somehow survive too.
Yeah, it was much different than I expected. As always,
like, I saw like Adrian was like now they're rooting for a Ty Renee final 2.
Like I said, I'm kind of here for that too. I think I don't know if you heard me when I said it, but like it would be the most exciting because those are the 2 people the jury was like the least like wanting to win, and having the 2 of them in the final 2, like what even happens then? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look forward to our ongoing coverage.
Also, I would say before that, I will say it's also really funny that like Anika's still doing the crown symbol.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Like it's literally only the two of you. Why are we still talking about the crown?
Literally.
The crown is literally dead. It's just the two of you.
But yeah, stay tuned for Survivor. We will be covering that on Monday.
Yes. And yeah, that's really it. Again, very shocked with how this episode turned out, but very happy that it turned out the way it did, because it was a much more entertaining episode. We had a lot more to talk about than usual. This is definitely one of the longer double eviction podcasts we've done.
Oh yeah,
because this was definitely not a straightforward episode at all. But yeah, other than that, as always, comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought of this week's double eviction episode and the week overall. What do you think about this final five? Who do you think has best chance? I have no fucking idea who's winning this season at this
I don't
point.
either.
Very open final five, which I will say,
I feel like the one that has like the least chance to win is Anika, because she hasn't really done much, like, because she hasn't won a comp yet either. So she really has to like explain why she won, or
Anika gives me like the person to go at 4. Like that's where
that's what I think now. I feel like she's getting 4th, and then Ty or Daniel maybe at 5.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless they go for like a Claudia.
Yeah,
I feel like if Anika or Daniel win HOH, I can see them going for Claudia.
Yeah, after this, yeah, probably. They'll probably just do Ty and Claudia.
Yeah, that would be funny. Renee Renom.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, other than that, I will say, like, that is more interesting than the last 2 seasons, because I feel like at this point it was pretty clear that Kevin was winning, and then 9 it was pretty clear that either Ty or Kiefer was winning at this point. So I will at least give them that. It just kind of sucks to like Kuzi's gone, because she would have been one of the best winners.
She would have been such a great winner, but she'll definitely dominate.
But Kuzi would not have let this chaos happen. So
I will say Kuzi's going to dominate All Stars. Don't worry.
Yes, whenever that happens, if they ever get to it. But
like maybe it'd be like maybe her and like Aika, maybe even Netta.
You almost said Neha.
Well, I mean, Neha was cool. She was robbed in season 3.
Yeah, but that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, let us know what you thought of this week's double eviction overall. And remember, couples who podcast together, stay together. See you guys later. And if you're HOH, don't put up your fucking ally, even if you're told to. Don't do it. It's a bad move. See you guys later.
Like really, Claudia, girl.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.